Oh man, free agency it is hitting, and the Niners got a lot of stuff to discuss, and it's our pleasure to welcome Matt Barrows of the Athletic. It's always fun to talk to Matt, especially on a day like today where there's a lot of stuff to talk about. So Matt, thank you so much for carving out some time. I really
Yes,
appreciate it.
I'm sorry I had to reschedule a couple of times, but as you know, as soon as we schedule something, that's going to be the time that something happens.
Well, you're working, so I expect that. I expect that. Like you got a job to do. You got to report. You got to actually report this stuff. So when stuff comes out, that's what you did. So I was here for you regardless. I mean, I've been sitting in this chair for like 7 hours now, so I wasn't going anywhere.
When is
No
Barrows
bathroom
going to be
breaks.
done? When is he going to
Nothing.
get on the computer?
I said I wasn't gonna do it. So tell everybody about the last. We'll get to the Mike Evans one, but the last trade, the one that you just reported on that just happened.
Yeah, I mean, you and I were supposed to talk at 4, and at 3:30 or something, the 49ers and the Cowboys did a trade. Osa Odigizua, a defensive tackle, goes from Dallas to San Francisco for a third-round pick. So the 49ers' third-round pick, which I think was 92 overall, end of the third round,
Mm-hmm.
goes that way, and then they get a defensive tackle, and they were in the market for a veteran defensive tackle. This team had a couple of two good-looking young guys in the lineup last year, and Alfred Collins and C.J. West. Both of them are 24 or younger. They don't have a lot of seasoning at that spot, so we knew that they were kind of shopping. They missed out on John Franklin Myers earlier in the week. He went to Tennessee, and
Mm-hmm.
so that's when they started working on this trade. Similar players. I mean, it's Robert Saleh in Tennessee, and you can see why both teams were interested in the same guys, sort of long, quick type of players. I think that Odigizua will line up next to Alfred Collins. And the idea is that you don't finish a second season with just 20 sacks like you did in
Yeah.
2025. That's the main thing. So I mean, to me, it's a good signing. It's a weak position in the draft. You didn't want to go into the draft anyway or you didn't want to have to rely on the draft anyway because you don't want three young guys in there. Ideally you add some veteran flavor to the mix. It's also
Yeah.
not a great draft for defensive tackle. So this seemed like a prudent move given the circumstances.
Where is it, Digazua, as far as a run stopper? Because you remember Hargrave comes over, and Hargrave was. We talked about him similarly, like a penetrator, a guy that can get to the backfield. A guy, he couldn't stop the run though, and they hadn't been very good stopping the run in the last few years, and that was one of their. I mean, one of their deals in 2019, Matt, I thought was the defensive line was the personality of the football team. Like that's who they were. They haven't really been able to get back to that, except for the one year they went to the Super Bowl. And look, Bosa being healthy is a huge deal. I just wonder where a Digazua is as far as run stop, or is that like we think we got that taken care of? The Niners do. I'm talking with West and Collins.
I mean, I think it's a concern. It's sort of a scheme concern about how
Mm-hmm.
they kind of use that position. Odikazua isn't known for run stopping. I don't think it's a liability.
Okay.
Um, but it's certainly not his specialty. So it's more of this idea, as you're pointing out with Hargrave, of play the run on the way to the quarterback. Uh,
Okay.
Idea you're attacking all the time, and the other idea is that your inside linebackers are so good and so fast that they are cleaning things up in the middle. I mean, we saw last year that if one piece of that breaks down, it's bad.
Yeah.
The 49ers were asking their safeties last year to make a lot of tackles, and there were some games where there were a lot of missed tackles by that group, and that really starts with the defensive line. And they just weren't. Last 2 years, they haven't been stopping anybody. So it's a good question. It's a good question to bring up to Raheem Morris when we finally talk to him. Has not been announced yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, that always strikes me as odd. But I think the idea is that it's going to be a lot like defenses in the past. But one of the differences is that Raheem Morris wants to add sort of that 240, 250-pound guy as a fifth edge rusher sometimes.
Hmm.
Someone who has versatility, who can rush the passer on some downs, and who can drop into coverage on some downs. Byron Young on the Rams, I think, is a really good
Okay.
example of that type of player. So Young was drafted by the Rams when Raheem Morris was in LA. And right now that guy doesn't exist on the 49ers roster. So, it could be that they add somebody else in free agency, or that could be the draft spot. Because I think there are a lot of guys that fit that description in this year's draft.
Well, it certainly sounds like, going back to 19 when they had Ford on the outside, and then you also had Armstead who could, go outside and then come inside with Buckner. It sounds like they would love to have a situation where they get the guy you're talking about, kind of a 240-pound guy that can get to the quarterback on the outside, but isn't a every down guy. Then you move Williams inside
Yeah.
on a passing down. Then you have a Digazua, and then you have Bosa, and now you feel like, hey, now we can get to the backfield. We can affect the quarterback.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that that's part of the plan, that Michael Williams is a quasi DN, D tackle, sort of
Hmm.
on an as need basis. He's probably a better pass rusher rushing as a defensive tackle too, because he can use his quickness against guards and centers who are just not used to it. All of that is the blueprint.
Hmm.
Haven't really seen it in action, and I'm not exactly sure when those guys are all going to be healthy enough. I think that Bosa should be healthy around the start of training camp, and maybe Michael Williams midway through training camp. But brace yourself. That's going to be a summer story.
Yeah.
Is he full go? Which week is he full go? Which week are you going to have this defensive line, which you want to be, the line that kicks off the season in Melbourne, sorry.
Yeah.
You don't want to get that wrong. But that's the idea. I think that's going to be a challenge for these guys. Is they're not going to have a lot of run up to the season to sort of work together.
Yeah. Yeah. I think when I think about it, having watched Williams last year, and I don't want to like define him in a year one, let's give him a couple, 2, 3 years, but he reminded me a little bit of Armstead, maybe not quite as big, but a guy who kind of lost his wiggle when he was out on the edge. Like, it's harder to get to the quarterback from the edge because you got to get by tackles now. You got a little further to go. But you can be a stout edge setter, and that's what Armstead was. But you bring him inside, then all of a sudden you can kind of wreak some havoc. And I'm hoping that's what Williams ends up being, a guy that can set the edge opposite Bosa. And then on passing downs, you move him inside. Now you could start seeing him do some business, because the Niners were never better than when they had those 4 guys on passing downs. I mean, they wreaked havoc all year long. The quarterbacks had no time to set up. They haven't really had that since. The other Super Bowl appearance was close, but not quite that. But I'm sure they'd love to get back to the defensive line, kind of setting the tone for the team.
Absolutely. I mean, the Armstead comparison is a good one. Armstead, by that point in his career, he was one of the strongest guys in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Long arms. He just used that leverage. He was really a smart player too. Would sort of use his length and his height to diagnose things, and was probably an under heralded player for them for a few years. And that's what they'd love Michael Williams to turn into. You're right. I don't think he's quite as big, as stout. I think it was probably 285 or something like that. He's not quite that, but there should be that versatility, and that's sort of the wave of the future, or the trend in the NFL, is to have these guys that can move around. So you have a 4-man front, sometimes a 5-man front, sometimes change things up. And that's been a critique of the 49ers defense, is that they're their mentality has been, okay, we're just going to bring in 4 guys and we're not going to do anything flashy, but our 4 guys are so good and they're so aggressive that you're not going to be able to handle them. And that allowed the 49ers to do more in coverage and to confuse things on that end. That hasn't worked for them in recent years.
Yeah.
To your point, I feel like they've been chasing 2019 for a while now. They saw what it can be, and they keep thinking, okay, well, let's just sign Samson Ebukam, and he'll be the new D Ford. We'll sign this guy, and he'll be the new
No.
whatever. And it just hasn't worked. So I think this year they will go. It's not going to be dramatic, but I think you'll see a difference. It'll be perceptible just in how they use that defensive line and really how they use that third linebacker. Because sometimes he'll look like a defensive lineman and sometimes he'll look like a linebacker. You just have to find a guy that's capable of doing both.
Well, I'd forgot. Where is D Winters health wise? Did he get hurt at the end of last year? I probably should have looked this.
D Winters, no.
Okay, so he was healthy.
He didn't play in the Philadelphia playoff game, but I think he was back for
Seattle.
The Seattle.
That he should have stayed home for that one too.
No, nobody showed up for that one.
we all should have stayed home for that one. So I wanted to ask about Greenlaw because everybody loves reunions, and I'm like Greenlaw was great, fine. Winters was fantastic last year. He was really, really good last year. So I mean, people were asking about that, but I'm like, I don't know. I mean, reunions always sound better. Like you go, hey, let's get Debo back. Let's get this. I'm like, well, guys, they left for a reason. They let him go for a reason. I understand Greenlaw was somebody maybe they would have liked to have, and then Denver got in there and snatched him up. But do you see any interest in that, or do you think they feel like we're pretty set opposite Warner?
Yeah, I think that they're set opposite Warner because you're right. D Winters D Winters from the beginning of the spring through the end of the season was probably their best player. He was Mr. Consistency for the team after being inconsistent in previous years. The only thing that makes me pause is that Nick Martin was drafted in the 3rd round and then really spent the last 2 months of the season dealing with a concussion. And I think it's still murky as to, what's going to happen with him this offseason, and did not take the step, certainly, that the 49ers would have liked with him. I mean, he had all sorts of promise, and you see him in practice, and he makes D Winters seem slow, and D Winters is a very, very fast linebacker. So I think that the idea was that, okay, you've got Nick Martin, and then when D Winters hits free agency, which is going to be next year, you have Martin just kind of waiting in the wings to kind of step into that spot. I don't know if that's still the 49ers probably don't know either at this point. They could probably use another inside linebacker at some point. I don't think it's going to be Dre Greenlaw. I think that when news came that he was going to be cut, I think that there was a lot of GMs interested in him. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure the 49ers were in that group.
Give me your thoughts on Evans, because Mike Evans comes over. I mean, it sounds great, right? It's Mike Evans, Hall of Famer. Well, there's a reason they got him for the price they got him for, because Mike Evans is a little older now than he was when he was going through his Hall of Fame career. I don't know what to make of it. I think it'll be a good thing. They needed receivers. I mean, they're losing guys. We're not even sure if Ricky Pearsall could stay healthy, which is, if he can stay healthy, then I think they're in good shape. Maybe go out and draft a wide receiver. And then we'll see what the guys from what was the Watkins from last year. We'll see if he can Cowings has been with my U of A guy. Cowings has been around forever, hasn't done hardly anything. But what'd you make of this, and how big a deal should Niner fans feel like this is, that they go out and get Mike Evans?
I mean, I think it's a big deal. I think it's a good signing. I've only heard really terrific things from reporters that cover the Buccaneers about the type of guy that he is, who he is in the locker room, who he is on the field. That, all of a sudden, it's a big criterion for the 49ers, because they've had so many problems with their wide receivers in recent years. So there's that. And then there's the fact that he is he's an alpha wide receiver. He's an
Yeah.
ex wide receiver, the guy that is sort of the figurehead in your receiving core. And that guy was Ayuk, but Ayuk hasn't really played. Ayuk hasn't been Ayuk since 2023. So they played the last 2 seasons essentially with Juwan Jennings as their ex receiver, and he did a fantastic job. But he has limitations. He's not very fast, for example. He's a great catcher in traffic. He's not going to stretch the field. That's what Mike Evans does. Despite not being a real burner, he still, reliably catches
Yeah.
downfield passes, loosens things up. I think that he's going to be a boon for Ricky Pearsall. I think, Ricky Pearsall stays healthy for 12, 16 games, whatever it is, he's going to have a big season. You saw Chris Godwin have those types of seasons year in and year. It was like clockwork there for a while in Tampa. So, I don't know how much is left in the tank. Mike Evans has had all sorts of anybody who's had Mike Evans on his fantasy teams knows that Mike Evans misses games with hamstring strains. That's what happens every year. Sort of like Williams with ankle injuries. Mike Evans is hammies, and the 49ers had as many hammy injuries last year as any season that I can remember. So I'm just kind of bracing myself for these panic attacks that the fans are going to have during the season. But I think when it's all said and done, it's going to end up being a nice signing for them. That's what they were missing, a veteran who kind of makes the defense pause. I mean, that's the guy that you got a game plan for when you're facing the 49ers this year.
Yeah. All right. So you mentioned Trent Williams, and I got to ask, like, I know the negotiations are going back and forth, and this is the way they go. Although I'm trying to figure out where the leverage is for the 49ers in this situation. Like, they've not set themselves up in a position to make Trent Williams or anybody else think that they have a succession plan at left tackle. Like, we know how good the 49er offensive line is with Trent Williams, and we know how good it is without Trent Williams. Let's put it this way. Hint. It's much better with Trent Williams. So,
yes.
Like, it's going to get done. I can't imagine it not getting done. And Trent Williams knows this. His representation knows this. Like, what's happening here? Because I feel like the Niners, like, I don't want to say they're overplaying their hand. And I know, Parag is a tough negotiator, but boy, you got to have something to, like, say, well, if you leave, we have this. I keep thinking, well, what do they have? They don't really have much over there at left tackle. And I'm assuming Trent Williams knows it. What are your thoughts on this whole deal with Trent Williams?
So I'm taking it that you're not a Vidarian Lowe fan. And by the way, I had to write that. I had to write that in my notebook so that I would have it ready, because it's not.
I don't know.
Not in the noggin
or not.
Well, I mean, I think that their only leverage is that Trent Williams turns 38 this summer. And that's the only thing they can use. I mean, to say, well, it's sort of uncharted territory here. We're not going to pay this amount of money for a 38-year-old. He could, go off the cliff this season for all we know. The problem with that logic is that they had the same worry 2 years ago when they redid his deal. And, he was as healthy and as good as he's been this last season, as he's ever been. 2025 was a good year for Trent Williams. Played all but one game. I know he missed a big chunk of one game too. I think it was the Bears game, but that's good for anybody in the NFL, especially a 37-year-old. So played at a high level. After that Seattle game, and they took it on the chin. There's no George Kittle. There's no Fred Warner in the locker room. It was Trent Williams who was the de facto spokesperson, the voice of reason, the veteran that was speaking for the team. That's a big deal. It's Trent Williams who comes out of the tunnel with the boombox. He is a gravitational force on this team. You're right. There's no leverage. I don't know why it has to become a soap opera every time someone's looking for money. He's not going to get pushed around, and I think it's clear that he's also not going to be kind of quiet about it. But it just seems like the 49ers have no recourse but to pay him at the top of the left tackle salary right now.
And it's not like they're stretched thin cap wise. I mean, they have it's like they're doing it just to do it. I don't know. I mean, it's just one of those things you're going to wake up one day and go, oh, they signed him. Of course they signed him because, well, that's what they're going to do. What do you think? The draft, like I always try to go like, okay, draft. What are they? Maybe they'll go with wide receiver draft. Maybe they'll go offensive line draft. And then I laugh at myself for suggesting offensive line, and then I just discount that. And then I go, oh, they're the Niners. First round, they'll draft a defensive lineman.
Oh, yeah.
That's what the Niners do. They draft defensive linemen in the first round. Now, they haven't every round, but I mean, clearly they have a preference. And like I said, this is how they want to build their team. They just haven't been able to do it over the last few years, and I think they want to get back to that. So to me, it's wide receiver or defensive line. Wouldn't surprise me if it was defensive line, but and wide. I don't know how you feel about it, Matt, but I just feel like you can't go wrong taking an offensive lineman or defensive lineman in the first round. There's so few big guys who are skilled that the more of those guys you have, the better. And we've seen wide receivers who can be good in the second round, third round, fourth round. Not that they have a third rounder anymore, but they could find receivers in the draft at some point. Where do you think will be the most pressing need for them when it comes draft time? And I know you'll probably have your crush at some point because there's like 3 years between now and the draft. Do we need this much time between now and the draft? No, we don't. Anyway, go ahead. I'm just rambling now.
Well, I mean, I spoke earlier about them not having that sort of 250-pound speedy edge rusher that Raheem Morris has had at other stops. I mean, he used his top pick last year on Javon Walker, who was Michael Williams' teammate at University of Georgia. I forget how many sacks he had, but he had a very good first year. So I think that, I mean, if that type of player is there at 27, I think it'd be hard for them to pass that up. Cassius Howell from Texas A&M, whose arms ended up being like 3 inches long at the combine last month.
T-Rex?
He was very T-Rexian, like Velociraptor. I mean, even shorter than the T-Rex. But he's very, very fast, and he was very productive in the SEC. So I can see that being a fit. There's a few guys like him throughout the draft. I would say that defensive end and wide receiver are the 2 deepest positions in the draft. And it also happens that the 49ers could use both of those. I think that it's if you went D-end in round 1, I think it's easier to find a good wide receiver in round 2 than vice versa. It's a little harder to find the D-end at the end of the second round. There seem to be more wide receivers, but they're both deep positions. They don't have their third anymore. That was the position I had sort of earmarked in my head for offensive line, like the Dominic Pooney spot. You find a Dominic Pooney-like guy, and you're gold. They don't have that now, but they do have 4 fourth-rounders, and you could easily package a couple of those to move back into the third or something like that. But, yeah, I would say 2 guys that I really like at 27, Cassius Howell from Texas A&M, and then at receiver, Omar Cooper Jr. from Indiana. He's the guy that made that incredible catch against Penn State in the back of the end zone. He's like a quasi Deebo Samuel meets Brandon Ayuk. So I think that he's somebody that will definitely catch Kyle Shanahan's eye as he's going over film these next few weeks.
Yeah, I'm still trying to wrap my head around Hoosiers being in the first round, like actually discussing Hoosiers as prospects. It's just a lot. It's a bizarre world. I mean, look, I grew up my entire life, and I'm 60. Indiana stunk. It has been terrible They've had a couple, you throw Antoine Randall L in there and he'll play quarterback for you, and you maybe have a good year here there too. Michael Penix was there before he took off to Washington. Okay, you got a few years, but generally speaking, you don't even think of Indiana unless it's basketball season. And now all of a sudden, not only are we thinking about Indiana, they win a national championship. They're going to have the first overall pick more than likely.
Yeah.
And we're going to be talking about Indiana Hoosiers being drafted high up in the draft. Like it did literally. If you would have asked me 5 years ago, Matt, that would have been the one thing. You could have come up with all kinds of outlandish. I would have said, get rid of that one. That's just stupid. Who made Indiana? Please, not going to happen. Yet, this is the world we live in, Matt.
Here we are. I mean, and it's not just Omar Cooper, but he's got a teammate, Elijah Surratt, who I think could end up on the 49ers. I mean, he's just one of these high floor guys, loves to block. He's also going to catch Kyle Shanahan's attention. The chances of them landing a Hoosier at wide receiver, I think it's like 50-50 at this point. And they already have a Hoosier quarterback on the roster.
They do.
Work, who threw to both of those guys in 24.
Well, and they have a Hoosier defensive tackle, don't they?
Oh, right, yeah.
CJ West is a Hoosier. I mean,
West,
it's like it's too much. Too much Hoosier.
This is going to be Hoosier West.
It's too much Hoosier. How do you think they're feeling at the cornerback position? Like, I think I like Lenore's Lenore, and I think he's fine. He's very good. Stout, I think, is good. Had some mistakes last year, but a rookie, and I think the way he plays with that junkyard dog mentality, he was going to have a few mistakes and maybe a few overly aggressive moments, but that's fine. I mean, you got to have some attitude to play in the nickel, in the NFL. But where's Green at? I really don't have a good feel for kind of where he's at. Sometimes he looks good, sometimes he doesn't. Made some bad penalties, gets beat deep occasionally. Like, where are you at with him? Where do you think they're at with him?
It's a good question, because I think that the 49ers have that same issue. He's very how do I describe his personality? He's sort of aloof. You don't really know where he is all the time. So I think he's been a little bit frustrating for them. I mean, you saw it on the sideline. I forget what game that was. It was the Week 18 game, I think, against Seattle, where Shanahan is chewing him out on the sideline.
That's right.
And there were all sorts of rumors, and I guess that they have been unfounded at this point about the 49ers, going after a cornerback in free agency, and it made you go, oh, that's weird that they would do that, since they used a high round pick on him, second round pick a couple of years ago. Things like that. So I don't know if any of that's coming to pass, but it did make you pause and think if things were worse with him than we knew during the season or what. But again, none of that happened. So I think that they're going to stand pat there. Upton Stout is really an interesting guy. I think the 49ers just love him, love his mentality. He's got a Diamador Lenore-like mentality. The one hitch, though, is that you're seeing more and more teams use these 3 tight end sets. The Rams used it to great effect. Seahawks used it quite a bit. He's either not on the field in those situations, or it's a mismatch because he's only 5'8.5".
Yeah.
So the trend defensively has been to find a safety that can just do a lot of different things, like the Seahawks safety. Name is escaping me right now.
No, I know who you're. I can't think of his name either. It's like
was a rookie.
Yeah,
exactly.
I think from South Carolina. I'll just throw that out.
Yes,
there. I remember he went to.
He has a lot of vowels in his name. That's all.
Yeah, I can't remember. I think it starts with an E, but I just can't remember how to pronounce it.
Umanwari, I think it is.
Yes, it's close enough. Something like that.
But my point is that he never has to leave the field. He can play deep. He can play along the line. He's like a Derwin James type, where he can cover wide receivers. One of those players are not common, and that's what makes these guys good. But that seems to be where the league is heading. The league gets smaller and quicker sometimes, and sometimes it kind of goes in the opposite direction. And I wonder whether we're at a stage where it's starting to become a more bigger physical league to take advantage of 5'8" nickel cornerbacks and 218-pound linebackers and things like that. I mean, when back in the 80s and 90s, if a linebacker wasn't 250, he didn't make the field.
Yeah.
And I remember Mike Singletary kind of coming in with that mentality, because he played in the 80s and that's what he knew. And, these Patrick Willis's were in the 240s, and that seemed anathema to him. Now they're in the 220s. I don't know what D Winters is, but I think he's like, 225 or something like that. That would have been absurd 30 years ago. But I just wonder whether it's going back to might is right type of football in some ways.
Well, it's interesting because back like when I was growing up, football was an 11-on-11 Oklahoma drill. It was like the running back was a star, the offensive line was a big deal, and we're going to hand it off and throw it. Like we'll throw it, but not all the time. Like your running backs are going to be they're the guys you put on the side of the building, like the face of the running back. Now it's like maybe 3 running backs would be that guy with Christian McCaffrey, Barkley, but the game has changed. And you're right. It always kind of ebbs and flows. Like, okay, where are we going to go? The key is, can you be the first to get there? Can you spot that trend and get there? I always appreciated Greg Popovich, the head coach of the Spurs. He was always like the first to kind of see where it was going and beat everybody to it. And then everybody was chasing, and then he'd beat him to something else. I mean, it's a skill to have as a coach to kind of see that and then beat everybody, because now you're getting players in the draft that maybe aren't valued as highly, and you get some deals in the draft. And now 2 years down the road, everybody's like, oh, we want that guy. Well, we can't get him now because he's going to go too high, or he's out of our price range in free agency. Let me ask you about the Maxx Crosby thing, because I find it interesting. I told you before the show started, it reminded me of the Lakers this year, where they made a trade and then they rescinded the trade based on medicals. I think the Lakers got cold feet because everyone was killing them because they gave up too much for what they got, and I think they found a way to get out of it. This one may be different from what I'm reading. It's really this is really like sketchy stuff if it's true that they get Maxx Crosby, but then they find out they could get Henderson as a free agent while Maxx Crosby is there. They're signing Hendrickson while also trying to figure out a way to get out of the. It just really bad. I mean, I don't know if it's true or not. It's just what I'm reading. I'm surprised it doesn't happen more often, Matt, because the league can do nothing about it. The doctors can look at anything and have concerns over. But usually, what happens though is they'll say, "Look, we have concerns over this. How about a 1 and a 2 or a 1 and a 3?" Just to make this thing work. This time they just said, "Nah, we're good. We don't even want to renegotiate this. We're just going to send him back." What were your thoughts on the whole thing? Because it was obviously pretty bizarre.
It involved the Ravens, and the Ravens are notorious for this. I mean, this is the most high profile it's been, but there have been at least 4 other cases where they have, acquired somebody in a trade or whatever. T.O. back in 2004, I believe it was. Remember, he goes to the Eagles in 2004. Well, before then, they had a trade with the Baltimore Ravens, and it was wiped away. I forget what the reason was, but that was the first place that he was sent. He was sent to the Ravens, and then that trade fell apart, and that's why he was sent to the Eagles. I think the 49ers wanted him out of the conference, and then he ends up killing them when he's on the Eagles and on the Cowboys in a few years. So the Ravens do have a higher bar for, and consistently have had that over the decades for someone kind of passing their physicals and whatnot. So in that way, it's not a surprise, but you're absolutely right. I mean, this was a huge deal, and it basically had echoes all around the league. And because the Raiders had so much salary cap space, they had bring in this guy and that guy. And so they went on a spending spree, the whole Trey Henderson thing. And I do not buy the Ravens general manager today saying, "Oh yeah, we were gonna, our plan all along was to
Get
have
both of them
in Maxx Crosby." Oh, really? You have an extra, like a spare salary cap you're working with?
Exactly.
He says that
It was
during
almost like
the,
Matt. It was like he was caught off guard, and that's all he could come up with. It's like, bro,
Yeah,
that's the
I
best
mean-
you could come up with. You serious?
if you're the PR staff, I feel like you need to
Prep him a
storyboard
little
it,
bit.
or have a test audience. Is this going to fly if we use this at our live press conference? Because when he said that, and then the reporters dutifully, had that quote in their tweets, and I went through the tweets, and it was like 17 like BS tweets. Like everybody was going BS like right away. Really hard to believe.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Now,
Uh,
do you think he? Because I still have a hard time believing he'll be a Raider this year, even if they have to. Now, the Raiders are going to come out and say, "Look, no discounts. We're going to get what we got." I don't know that that's going to be the case because of all the money they spent. I mean, they went from like having tons of salary cap space to like, oh damn, we're a little tight. Hey, can you put the burger back? We're gonna have to go with the oats. Okay, we're gonna have to go with the oatmeal. We can't afford the burger anymore. I don't know what that. I don't know if the Niners are going to be interested in that. I think every team that is close to winning has dreams of getting a guy like Maxx Crosby, right? I mean, the guy he's productive. He seems like an incredible teammate, and you can only dream of putting him outside of Bosa. But I think I just don't see where it could happen. Maybe it will. I don't know. But what do you think of where does he stay with the Raiders, and do the Niners have any interest whatsoever?
the Niners don't have any interest as long as the asking price is 2-1.
Yeah.
They were never going to be in on that. I think that what's going to happen is it's going to take a while, maybe into next month, and then he gets traded before the draft, because that would kind of, go along with the medical. Like, I think the type of surgery he had, he starts to kind of, come out of that or recover from that around the early April time period. So he has a physical with, the Cowboys or the Buffalo
Mhm.
Bills or whoever trades for him at that point. The physical is gonna be better, I think, at that stage. Well, they would have a better idea of how it's ultimately going to be for him, that knee. So I mean, if the price tag comes down, I mean, the 49ers have the 27th pick. They just traded away their third round pick. It's just hard for me to see them being competitive in a trade. If it's the Cowboys can offer an earlier first round pick, things like that. So I don't see it happening. I think that the 49ers are looking at either that first or their second round pick as that type of player I was describing earlier, just something that they don't have. And Maxx Crosby is fantastic, but he's not that type of player. I mean, you would dress your defense around your personnel. That's what a good defensive coordinator would do. But I just don't think the 49ers are, in the market for that high price of a player.
Well, I said this a couple of days ago. I mean, I think people are forgetting how good Nick Bosa is when he's healthy. I mean, Nick Bosa is one of the top defensive ends in the game, and he's supposed to be your guy. Like, the Raiders have Maxx Crosby, the Niners, like, Nick Bosa is the guy that makes everybody better on that defensive line. And I think as long as would it be great to have those two? Yeah, it's overkill. You got other needs you need to address as well. But if Nick Bosa is healthy, I think they're going to be fine. Did Brandon Ayuk sign with the Commanders today, or was that just something somebody had thrown out there like it's a possibility that Ayuk could sign with the Niners or with the Commanders?
He's still a 49er today.
Okay, still a 40.
A little bit of a surprise. I thought you might ask me about that. I mean, we were all prepared. This is the first day of the new league year. This was the day that they were supposed to give Brandon Ayuk the heave ho, and they didn't. Now, some other players too, like Trey Greenlaw, for example, he wasn't released by the the Broncos, even though they plan to. So I don't know what if it's just sort of a a numbers thing or a date thing that these things will all happen tomorrow officially. But there is some sentiment out there that they might just kind of keep Brandon Ayuk on the hook as some sort of like Machiavellian punishment. Like you can't
What?
you can't dictate where you go in this league, and we're gonna
Wow.
out of spite keep you around. That's just my evil mind. I haven't heard anything like that.
Oh my
It
goodness
was a bit
gracious.
peculiar that he's still on the roster.
That's crazy. There's still, I still think, and like you're as close to this as you could possibly be. And I'm sure the way you reported it, I mean, gave us all the information. I still think, do you feel like there's something else there? It still doesn't make any sense to me. Like this guy went from having a monster contract, gave up $27 million of guaranteed money, maybe the number one play caller in all of the NFL, if not certainly top handful of play callers, going to be the ex-receiver on that offense that is a loaded offense, and just said, nah, I'm good. I want to go somewhere else and play and maybe have a quarterback throw it at my feet and plan an offense that isn't tailor-made to kind of what I do. And the fact that he went through all the grief early in his career to get to that point. I mean, I remember on the radio asking all the time, like, what does Ayuk have to do to get in the lineup? What is he? Is he not blocking? Is he not? Maybe I should have listened to that. Like, well, let's put a pin in that and see if that comes back at some point during his career, because this just talk about stuff that doesn't happen. Matt, this is like, what? Like you traded all that away and money for like who knows what? I don't know. I just feel like there's more there. Maybe there's not. I don't know, but it's one of the more bizarre things I've seen in the NFL.
Absolutely. I mean, and this is all conjecture because, the issue with Brandon Ayuk is that he hasn't communicated any of this to anyone.
Yeah.
Maybe his inner circle, but certainly not to the 49ers and certainly not to the media, try as we might. But so I can only guess what the issue is. And you just noted all the water that went under that bridge. Remember when, he kept him out of the starting lineup in 21 in that game in Detroit. Is Brandon Ayuk in Shanahan's doghouse? That was a headline we saw a million times in 2021. So there were a lot of, perhaps perceived slights, hard coaching, resentment. I mean, there's a lot that could have built up over that time. But I think that this whole idea, and then there was the tough negotiation in 24. And during that negotiation, the 49ers were ready to trade him to the Pittsburgh Steelers, trade him to the Washington Commanders. And I think that he started to kind of, first he took affront at that they were, just willing to kind of do that to him. And then he allowed himself to kind of imagine himself playing for Jaden Daniels, his buddy from ASU. Freaking ASU guys ruining the
unbelievable. Not surprising.
Exactly. So I just feel like he got that in his head and sort of mentally, never was able to kind of get back to playing for the 49ers again. And so that's, everybody thinks that's where he's going to end up when this is all said and done. And I agree. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. That's the only sort of, and I know that's a very illogical way of thinking about it, but I think that is what happened. Something illogical, occurred to him, and he decided he did not want to be in this spot anymore.
Logical to him, illogical to everybody else.
Exactly.
Very, very bizarre situation. So before I let you go, Niners done in free agency, you think, or do you think they have anything on their shop? I mean, it's hard. It's always hard to say, but anything on their shopping list, or they take care of the two big ones with the wide receiver and defensive tackle
Yeah, and they also signed
and offensive line depth, I
an
guess.
offensive lineman, or well, that guy, Vidarian Lowe. Again, I had to look at it to get it. And then there was a guy last night that they signed, Brett Toth, who I think
Okay.
is exactly who I thought that they might sign. Not specifically him, but that type of player, a guy who has played, a veteran who could compete at that left guard spot with Connor Colby, the rookie from last year. So that's a very typical 49ers move to bring somebody of that caliber in. He could be the backup center. So I feel like they've taken care of all their bigger ticket items that they wanted to have done to prepare for the draft. They could use another running back. I mean, Brian Robinson, he might have just signed while we've been talking, but he's still out there. Yeah, and Juwan Jennings and Spencer Burford are other 49ers who have yet to sign. So, no, I don't think that they're done. I think that they're probably finished doing, big moves.
Got it.
Because I think that they sort of are happy with the roster at this stage of the offseason, and then they can continue to put it together in small ways in free agency and in big ways with the draft.
It was a kid from Oregon, the running back Jones. Was that his name?
Jordan James.
Jordan James. Okay, I knew there's a whole bunch of J's in there. I knew I was probably going to get
get a lot of
Jordans
on the team.
A lot of Jordans, J's, all kinds of stuff. I mean, look, all the Oregon running backs look similar anyway. You put them in an Oregon uniform, it's like they got 7 guys that look like James, but he didn't really. I don't think he had any carry last year into the playoffs, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe he did, but I liked him at Oregon. Again, it could have been somebody else. They all look alike at Oregon. So maybe it wasn't him. I'm not sure. What are the plans for him? Do they have any plans for him?
Well, right now it seems like he's number 2 on the roster. They've got Christian McCaffrey, and then after that they've got Jordan James, Isaac Guerrero, and today they signed I'm missing his name, but a guy who got hurt last year. So not looking at him to get a lot of carries. But my point is that, certainly for the offseason roster, they could use 1 or 2 more tailbacks. But unless they bring back, their veteran from last year, I feel like Jordan James could be that number 2 back.
Yeah, I'd like to see him get
Brian Robinson.
Get Brian Robinson. Yeah. Any good beers lately? Any good new breweries that you've tried out?
My Whole Foods does Blind Pig for like $5.99.
You can't go wrong with Blind Pig.
Exactly, it's just entrapment. Like you see it in the window, and
entrapment.
It's $5.99. You're like, well, $5.99. I don't want to lose money on this. So
exactly. I'm stealing. I feel like I'm stealing.
Take a whole armful. Sometimes I will go into that Whole Foods with my one shopping bag, and I'll realize that you put 4 Blind Pigs in there, and then there's no room for food. That's it. That's all you're getting.
It's actually my favorite beer. I think it's my favorite beer over Pliny. Russian River came out with one this year called Simcoe 25 that I really liked. It was really good. I don't know if it's going to be a regular beer, but in terms of like the staples, and the Pliny is great. The double dry hop Pliny for President's probably my favorite iteration of Pliny. But Blind Pig is it's just so good. It's 6.5. You can have a couple of them and just enjoy it. It's underrated.
Yeah, Pliny. Pliny is fantastic, but the alcohol content in it is high. So anything. That's it.
You start the ABV with 8s. It's been a few years since I've done that, and I used to start them with 9s, and I'd be like, oh, this is like I love this. Now it's like, let's get it down to the 5s, maybe even 6s. That's a let's go some pale ales. We'll be solid.
The older you get, the lower that number becomes. Yeah.
It really does. Like I just want to watch a game. I don't want to fall asleep in the second quarter.
There you go.
I don't I don't need to. And then you could have Pliny the Younger. That might put you up for the week. You'd be like toast. It'll be over.
Yeah.
It's what
You have to go up there for that, right? They don't sell that at Whole Foods, I don't think.
No, they don't sell it at Whole
Yeah.
Foods, but you could get it at a if you have like a local bar that sells Pliny, stuff like that. They'll usually get a keg of it. You
Yeah.
can go over there and grab but yeah, I want to go up there one of these years. Go up to maybe we'll get everybody that drinks beer. I know a couple of the guys on the 49er beat, Matt Mayoko, Eric, Cam Inman. I think a lot of those guys. Maybe we'll just all go. We'll all set aside a day and go up there and just have some Pliny the Younger. That'd be a fun day.
Let's do a show from up there. I mean, that would.
Ooh, wow! Vinny would definitely. He would definitely be up for that if I asked him to do a show from there. He would definitely.
I say we rent a plane. I don't want to do that drive. Let's just, like 6 of us. We rent a small plane. We fly into Sonoma or Santa Rosa Airport and go from there.
Yeah, I'll meet you there. I'm not getting on that plane. There's not a chance I'm getting on that plane. But I would definitely meet you there. I'll take an Uber that'll only cost $470 one way. That'll be fantastic. We will love that. Everything else been going good?
Yeah, everything's good. Looking forward to I love the draft season, so I'm looking forward to the conversation turning to the draft in April. I think that'll be a lot of fun.
Well, hopefully we can have you on at some point, maybe after the draft, find out what the Niners did and all that kind of good stuff. So I really appreciate you making time for me today. I know it's a busy time of year, Niners making moves, and you were here to kind of document it all for me. So I appreciate it, Matt. Hope you have a great day, and let's go ahead and figure that out. We'll figure out where we're going to go. We do need to get everyone together, even if it's not going all the way to Russian River. Hell, I'll give my guy Barry a call. We'll go over to Fieldwork. I mean, they sponsor the damn show. We'll go over to Fieldwork and have some tasty studs over there.
There you go. I don't want to deal with the traffic.
He'll definitely love us coming over there and doing the show. So maybe we'll do that one of these days. So thank you so much, Matt. I appreciate the time.
All right, Tom. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, Matt. I appreciate it. Matt Barrows of The Athletic. Always fun to have Matt on. And as you can see, Fieldwork is the fine sponsor of our show. Definitely. Can you imagine? We have a show with not that it's like I was going to say a show. Can you imagine having a show with me? It'd be incredible. No, but with Matt Barrows, Mayoko, Inman. I mean, that'd be an awesome 49er show to have while we're just sitting back drinking beers. I mean, we could probably pull that off. I mean, Barry would love it. Absolutely would love it. Speaking of Barry and Fieldwork, they're the official non-alcoholic craft beer of your San Jose Sharks, your gritty San Jose Sharks. I'm a little bit of a skid now, but that's okay. I'm cool. Like I said, I'm not worried so much about love to see them get in the playoffs. It'd be awesome. But I just love the growth that they've had this year and what they have for the future. They're going to be there for a while. So that's what I'm excited about. So when you go down to the tank, again, you can get the non-alcoholic craft beer. You can also get Toffoli Time, 16-ounce Pilsner. And if Tyler Toffoli registers a point, whether it's a goal or an assist, you can get 50% off your non-alcoholic craft beer. Or just draft beer. You can get fully leaded draft beer as well. And they have that down there. They have Pulp. They have Clear Skies. I believe they have Hazy Train. So you go down to the tank. All kinds of options available for you. I would recommend, like, as much as I love, out of those three, probably Clear Skies, which is a West Coast IPA. Then you got the Hazy IPAs, which is kind of Pulp and Hazy Train. It's in the name. I mean, I like Clear Skies, but they're there for you. But I'd probably go Toffoli Time. Nice Pilsner, nice crisp Pilsner while you're watching your Sharkies. So there you go. Tyler Toffoli. I just love the Fieldwork and the Sharks logo right there together. Yeah, that just warms my heart is what it does. And so, all right, we're gonna get on out of here. There's a couple of things I wanted to get into, but I could do that later because I want to go watch this game. And somebody just is Italy winning? Italy's got the where is that one? Let me see. World Baseball Classic. Oh, 5-0. We've advanced. The Americans have already advanced. Because if Mexico's going to win, they got to score over five runs now. So it's over. Boy, boy, DeRosa has got to be. Because I'm not sure what to make of that. I think DeRosa didn't know what the hell was going on. I really do. I don't think he knew. And I want to say, to be fair, there is no to be fair. Someone has to know what's going on in the tiebreaker. Somebody has to know that you don't just stick Ryan Yarbrough out there for like 3 innings and say, go get him. You have to know that you can't say, yeah, guys were a little beaten up last night, got a little dinged up, had some guys sitting out. That was it's a must-win game. You got to win that game. And you didn't know you had to win that game. That's the problem. That's the problem. Like USA, we're going to take this seriously. And they still can win this whole thing. And look back on this and laugh. Ha ha. Oh, he. Oh. Oh, but you were this close. You were this close. When you go on and say, this was a game against Italy, when you go on before the game and say, yeah, we want to win this game, even though we've punched our ticket, you've punched nothing. You punched nothing. And you didn't know that you'd punched nothing. Or you knew that you hadn't. I mean, it just, again, I think he may have got some bad information. I don't think he was looking up the tiebreakers. But my goodness, how about putting somebody on that knows what the hell they're talking about? You can't. If we're going to take this seriously, like if you're going to be invested in this, then be invested in it the whole way. Not like, well, we're kind of invested in it, but we're not sure if we need to win this, but we should be good enough anyway. We're good. Like Italy has some MLB guys. Like Lorenzen started that game, and like not going to start any playoff games for you probably, but it could be, he might be your third or fourth starter in the playoffs, but he's been in the big leagues a long time. And they got some guys, Teal for the Teal or Keel? I think it's Keel for the White Sox. Like, should the Americans should they win that game? Yeah. But if you're not maybe in the right mindset, if you think you already get your ticket punched, if you look at the lineup, DeRosa's thrown out there, maybe you're not as, I don't know what's the word I'm looking for, as emotionally invested in the game as you should be. And so anyway, but it's over. To the best of my knowledge, the USA has advanced because Mexico has to now score 6 runs to win the game. And that was the thing. Mexico had to score 5 or more for USA to advance if they won. Well, they're going to have to score that much now. So there you go. Yeah, I know. I agree. Somebody should have known. It seemed kind of goofy, some of those tiebreakers, but they should have known. But we're on. We're no, Team Mom would definitely know. Team Moms are on top of everything. You kidding me? And then she would have brought juice boxes too. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Juice boxes and orange slices. And you get the team, maybe even patches if you win. Patches O'Houlihan. You're like, you're good to go. So we are good to go. Okay, so I don't need. I'll get to this then because I wanted to go watch the game, but it doesn't matter anymore. I don't need to watch that game. The USA is advanced. I think. I don't want to do a DeRosa here. It reminded me. Anybody out there old enough to remember when Tracy McGrady in 2003 playing the Pistons? He was on the Magic. I was calling that series when he said it's great to be in the second round. You know, after losing in the first round, it's finally nice to be in the second round of the playoffs. Problem is, they were up 3-1 on the Pistons. He hadn't made it to the second round yet and didn't, losing 3 in a row. Oops. Just, if you don't need to say something, just don't say it. Just leave it out unless you're 100% certain of he thought he was 100% certain. He wasn't 100% certain. Let me get to the Bam Adebayo scoring 83 points last night. I couldn't have been more shocked had an alien landed on top of Chase last night when I was doing the game. And that's when Tim told me that Bam Adebayo had 83, I was like, excuse me? What did you just say? 83. He would have been, I don't know where he would have been. Not top 50, I don't know where he would have been. I wouldn't even have thought of him. Like the first guy that comes to my mind when you're talking about scoring that many points is Luka. Not Bam Adebayo. And look, I didn't watch the game. But dropping 83, I think it was like 43 free throw attempts, 43 field goal attempts, 22 three-point attempts. And the big deal was not just the 83, but he passed up Kobe. Kobe had 81 against the Raptors. It was like 20 years ago. I remember watching that game. I didn't watch this. I probably won't go back and watch it. And I think everybody's kind of going off a little bit, like too much, either kind of ripping the Heat and Bam or defending the Heat and Bam. Like, I don't need somebody to tell me that like 83 is 83 and how I should feel about it. Well, shut the fuck up. I'll feel about it how I want to feel about it, okay? And I need you to tell me that there's nothing wrong with the way he scored 83. And I don't need people telling me that the 83 is like it was a cheap 83. Okay. And I'll take a cheap 83. I have no problem taking a cheap 83. I'll take a cheap 23, be perfectly honest with you. But here's where I lose it. Here's where the 83, I don't want to say becomes cheap, but I look at it kind of side-eyed. When you start fouling a team to get the ball back so your guy can score more, that's where you completely lose me. If you want to keep Bam in the game to the very end, go ahead. I mean, Kobe stayed into the end too when he scored 81. A little bit different situation. They weren't fouling to get the ball back to Kobe. They were down in that game by double digits and came all the way back. And I figured, well, Kobe was the one that let him back. Let Kobe do what Kobe's going to do. But if you're getting up in 70, 75, 70, like, finish the game if you want to finish the game. Like, it's not, to me, I don't want to say it's phony, but it loses a little bit when it's not pure competition, like it's a close game, but you're not going to probably have that. You're not scoring 80 in a close game. That's not the way basketball works. So I'm whatever. You want to keep him in? That's fine. That's fine. Keep him in. Feed him the ball. He has a chance to do something he'll never have a chance to do again. Scored that many points. But when you're fouling to get the ball back to him, that now it's a joke. Now it's just a joke. I said the same thing with Devin Booker. I want to say Devin Booker had 70 against the Celtics a few years back. They were doing the same thing, fouling to get the ball back to Devin Booker so he could score more. Joke. They did it with Allen Iverson. Allen Iverson had some record scoring 40 points as a rookie, like in 10 consecutive games or 9 consecutive games or whatever it was. And he had 38, 36, and there was like a minute left, and they were losing by like 18, which doesn't make it quite as bad, but they were still fouling at the end of the game just to get him the ball back so he could get to 40. That's where you lose me. If you want to score, score. You want to stay in the whole game, stay in the whole game. You want to feed your guy the ball because he'll never have a chance to get that many points again? Fine. No problems. But when you rig the game, like I'm going to foul to get Bam the ball back. I mean, what's wrong with 79? 79 is not good enough. We got a foul to get the ball back to him so he can get 81 and then 83. Clearly trying to pass up Kobe. If Kobe had scored 90, do you think they would have pulled him out? Standing ovation, good job, you get 79. You're not getting 91. It's just not going to happen. It was because of that number that they kept him in and fouled. And again, you can say what you want. You can feel about it however you want to feel about it. That's fine. That's the only problem I had. The only problem I had was you were fouling when you're up 25 points to get the ball back to Bam. That to me is just a joke. It's just a joke. And again, 79 would have been good. I wouldn't have, if Tim would have told me Bam scored 79, I still would have had the same reaction. What? 79? Are you kidding me? So whatever. I'm not, that's not, no, not down for that. And so anyway, all right, we will, what is today? Is today Wednesday? I guess it is Wednesday, huh? So Friday we'll figure it out. I think Mayoko may join us Friday. We'll just keep rolling some Niners, keep rolling Niner free agency, and we'll have our weekly recap. We got to get to the marathon runner. The marathon. Can you imagine a worse beat? 26.2 and you get beat by a step. Oh, that's got to hurt. I can't even imagine that pain. The pain of running 26.2 and then the pain of getting beat like a photo finish. Has there ever been a photo finish in a marathon before? Or never is a photo finish. And where was the guy's teammates yelling, "Look out behind you"? Like that dude had no clue. Can you imagine the horror on that guy's face when he saw this flash come by? It's just like, oh my God. Whew, gotcha. So we'll definitely talk about that on Friday. Maybe have some video of it. And I was going to talk about the baseball, but no need. I mean, DeRosa screwed it up, but it doesn't matter anymore. So they are they're moving on. I may have some more on Bam. May have some more, but Friday recap. We'll do what we did last week, and we'll talk some 49er football. So everybody, thank you very much for joining us. I appreciate it. It's kind of around dinner time. I'm hungry. Hope you're hungry too. Go have yourself a nice beverage and hopefully a nice juicy steak. And I'll talk to you guys again on Friday. Until then, see ya.
And remember this, Tommy T, cash and tickets is what it's all about.